see your Saturn retailer.
All right, welcome back. Maybe pack another lunch for outdoors, another pretty one.
Al fresco, dine al fresco, yeah. In the morning it'll be 56, at noon it'll be 72. That's perfect for even Natalie Marmion, I think. 82 degrees at 5 p.m. Doesn't get any better than that. We suffer but we wait all year long for it, so enjoy it.
We will. Rob, thanks. And thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great day tomorrow. It's going to 10, right? That's your rating at 10. We'll be back tomorrow evening. Have a good one. Good night.
Thank you for watching the Northwest News Leader. For news online, go to KTU.com. Voted the Northwest best website by the Radio Television News Directors Association. Fisher Communications.
So, how are you going to keep fleas off your dog this year?
Only Advantage stops fleas from biting in less than 5 minutes and keeps working all month. It's the fastest relief you can buy. Get Advantage from your vet. Don't give fleas a biting chance.
If you're going to need anything for your home in the next year, plan to be at Standard TV and Appliances Mega Sale. Everything is on sale.
Mega sale prices on KitchenAid, Whirlpool, GE, Maytag, RCA, Zenith, Mitsubishi, and more.
Standard on Southeast 82nd, Tigard on Highway 99, and Beaverton on Canyon Road.
Hurry in now for 6 months, no payments, no interest financing.
Savings that are out of this world. Now at Standard TV and Appliance, the Mega Sale.
Join the Cadillac Summer Jam for this attractive offer.
You know, people think that old people have it easy.
Max! Max!
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not like you can just go out and buy the perfect house. But thankfully, I went on townpartner.com and found certified contractors who remodeled my home and made it right for me. Now, everything is just the way it should be.
Townpartner.com from Portland General Electric.
Distracted Drivers continues tomorrow night at 6:30 on K2 News.
July 15th, 2002. When the president says this,
the only path to safety is the path of action, and this nation will act.
the rest of the world says this.
The Americans have to realize they cannot go at it alone in the world.
I don't think they really care about the rest of the world.
The Bush administration is well characterized as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
And those are our friends.
But our friends in particular are looking at us and saying, you want to have it whichever way you want to have it.
When you have a principled position, you should fight for it, but we shouldn't go along with the consensus just because it is the consensus if we believe it is inconsistent with our principled position.
Tonight, superpower, the perils of going it alone. From ABC News, this is Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
Say what you will about communism, it was indisputably valuable in one respect. For the better part of 50 years, it gave absolute clarity to the guiding principle behind U.S. foreign policy. If the communists were for something, the United States was against it. If the communists threatened a country or a region, the United States poured in economic and often military aid to counter that threat. The world was divided, not always neatly, into us and them. But what is the guiding principle behind American foreign policy these days? Last September, after the attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, President Bush seemed to be proposing a policy of equal simplicity and clarity. Every nation in every region now has a decision to make, he said. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists. That policy seemed to gain wide acceptance for a while, but only for a while. These days, criticism of American foreign policy is as likely to come from Berlin or Paris as from Beijing or Moscow. Indeed, our friends are sometimes more critical than our former enemies. We'll be talking about some of this a little later with Secretary of State Colin Powell. But first, Nightline correspondent Don Dahler takes a look at what it is about U.S. foreign policy these days that frustrates so many people.
As leader of the world's most powerful nation, he gets to set the agenda.
In the world we have entered, the only path to safety is the path of action, and this nation will act. States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil. Peace requires a new and different Palestinian leadership. The Kyoto Treaty would severely damage the United States economy. We'll try to work out the impasse at the United Nations, but one thing we're not going to do is sign on to the International Criminal Court.
Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, who is left to tell the United States what it can do? To some observers, America is now free to act as many of the world's great empires once did centuries ago.
Of course, the most powerful country in the known world has always pursued its own interests, often ruthlessly, as Rome did.
And isn't that, after all, what's expected from the leader of the world's only remaining superpower, leadership? Great world powers, and there have been many of them throughout history, may have sought consensus where they could find it. But when they couldn't, they simply imposed their vision. In the year 530, when the Romans attacked the Persians, they didn't first clear it with Greece. The French Emperor Napoleon showed no particular concern for international law when he sought to weaken the British by excluding them from international trade. History records that dominant world powers have always been guided, first and foremost, by their own national interest. They do what they believe to be necessary because they can. If anything, the United States, in asserting its interests, has been more benign than any of its predecessors. Still, in recent months, Washington has voided or refused to sign the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty because it ran counter to development of the Missile Defense Shield. The Biological Weapons Test Ban because it opened American anti-biological weapons labs to inspection. The international prohibition on landmines because the administration believes there's currently no more effective defense in the event North Korea's massive army marches south.
The view of George W. Bush is that he is a cowboy, that he could risk all our lives. He could set on fire a conflagration which he would be incapable of stopping. There is that anxiety.
The Americans have to realize that they cannot go at it alone in the world, because the world is becoming much too complex, even for the Americans.
The United States has threatened to withdraw from UN peacekeeping operations, but
even in Britain, America's closest ally, there's grumbling on television. Headlines are often of the "there they go again" variety. The phrase used in Washington to describe all this is Euro whining. But the Bush administration's policies are based on the belief that
unless the United States asserts leadership, nothing will happen, that nations will follow if we lead in the right direction and we lead decisively.
And there are the domestic advantages of pushing an agenda that favors American industry and agriculture over its international competitors. But if increasing farm subsidies and levying tariffs on steel imports are popular at home, they raise hackles among our trading partners.
It goes against everything the United States stands for, which is for free, untrammeled world trade.
America's foreign critics point to the contradiction between this country's proclaimed values and its actual policies.
You can't use power and simultaneously act as if you were neutral, standing on the sides, providing moral and ethical advice.
And sometimes those critiques work. The U.S., alone among its allies, vigorously opposed the International Criminal Court, established to prosecute war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity, fearing that Americans risked being hauled in front of hostile courts during peacekeeping missions, like this one in Bosnia. The administration sought blanket immunity for U.S. peacekeepers. Last week, it gave in. The U.S. only got a year-long exemption from prosecution. Sometimes a great power has to go along to get along. In the projection of American force around the world, President Bush has shown he's not afraid to go it alone. In the war on terror, the U.S. military continues its single-minded pursuit of al-Qaeda in Afghanistan in the face of mounting international criticism. The Pentagon seems to be preparing for an attack on Iraq against the all but unanimous opposition of the rest of the world.
The problem with doing everything your own way is something you're really supposed to learn when by the time you're 2 years old. It is eventually you may well be the biggest kid around, but you're not going to have any friends and no one will cooperate with you. You have to consult, you have to compromise, you have to form coalitions.
The issue is not whether America has the economic and military clout to impose its will on the rest of the world, but whether in the long run it is prudent to do so. The United States has never engaged in empire building, nor does that seem now to be the intent of the Bush administration. But gradually, piece by piece, a new strategy is being formulated. And what direction that will ultimately take is far from clear. I'm Don Dahler for Nightline in Washington.
When we come back, Secretary of State Colin Powell responds.
This coalition is continuing now with great resilience and strength long after people thought it might come apart, because that threat is real and because the United States is the leader in dealing with that threat.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by MasterCard.
Bug's Eye View, $18 a night. Bird's Eye View, $20 a night. Frog's Eye View, $16 a night. A trip that changes the way you look at the world. Priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Accepted at national park campsites from Acadia to Yosemite.
Buy any new 2002 Mitsubishi and never pay interest. Plus, make no payments for an entire year. Looks like the best deal in the car business just got better. Introducing Mitsubishi's Summer Clearance, where you can get any new 2002 Mitsubishi and never pay interest. Never. Plus, you'll have no car payments for an entire year. Good on any new 2002 Mitsubishi. Never pay interest. Plus, no payments for 1 year. Hurry, because never won't last forever.
Tomorrow, treating menopause, or should it be treated at all? Is it a disease or a natural part of aging? Are the drugs really needed? Watch World News Tonight.
Compare Ford Escape to the Honda CR-V and Toyota RAV4 and you'll see that Escape has a V6 engine standard, more horsepower standard, more towing standard, and a CD player standard. Not surprising, Escape is the best-selling small SUV. And right now you can drive home your own Escape with $1,000 cash back or 2.9 financing. The best-selling Ford Escape with $1,000 cash back or 2.9 financing. It's more SUV for the money.
When you can find the nearest locksmith. When you can check a movie time. And tell your friends you're running late. When you can find the right words to open a door. When you can do all this with a calling plan starting at $19.99 a month, that's M-Life. From AT&T Wireless. There's never been a better time to stop by an AT&T Wireless store, authorized dealer, or call 1-800-IMAGINE.
We're in the Benjamin Franklin room at the State Department, and I'm joined here by the Secretary of State, Colin Powell. Mr. Secretary, as Don Dahler spelled out in the beginning of this broadcast, a number of our friends in particular, we don't worry so much about being criticized by our enemies, but our friends in particular are looking at us and saying, you guys are no different from any other major power that is, in effect, the sole power in the world. You want to have it whichever way you want to have it.
That's simply not true, Ted. When you look at the coalition we put together after 9/11, we put together a powerful international coalition, and the President made the point to that coalition that I'm not just doing this for Afghanistan or because the United States was attacked. I'm doing it for that, but also because terrorism is a threat to all of us. And this coalition is continuing now with great resilience and strength long after people thought it might come apart, because that threat is real and because the United States is the leader in dealing with that threat. I can't think of a better example of multilateralism. Well, the United States is working with the United Nations, we're working with the European Union, we're working with NATO, with the OAS, with the ANZUS organization, with all of our great partnerships in order to go after terrorism, because we can't do it alone no matter how great a superpower we are. And the threat is directed at all of us.
Let's start getting specific. If indeed, in fact, maybe I should begin with a question. We've had conflicting stories coming out of this building over the last week or two, suggesting, first of all, that there is a plan already being formulated for an attack against Iraq. More recently, a story in USA Today saying, no, we're only going to do it if indeed the Iraqis give us sufficient provocation. Is that story true?
Well, you haven't had any conflicting reports out of this department over the last week or two.
Oh, I'm saying we're the ones making the conflicting reports.
What we have consistently said is that the President has no plan on his desk to invade Iraq at the moment, nor has one been presented to him, nor have his advisors come together to put a plan to him. He is in the most intense consultations with his friends and allies around the world. He has discussed this issue with his friends at the G8 meeting in Canada recently. A steady stream of Arab leaders have been through the Oval Office in recent weeks, and the President has spoken to them. He is aware of the feelings of our friends with respect to Iraq. He's working very hard within the United Nations. I spent a year on his behalf putting in place smart sanctions so that we're not hurting the Iraqi people. We're just constraining the ability of the Iraqi government to develop weapons of mass destruction. That was multilateral, not unilateral. He has called for the inspectors to go in as part of the UN regime. That is multilateral, not unilateral. But he also believes, and perhaps no one else agrees with him, but I think most people do, they just are a little reluctant to how to get to this end, that the Iraqi people would be better served with a different regime, not with a regime that gasses its own people, gasses its neighbors, and are developing the worst kinds of weapons that will be more of a threat to its neighbors and regional stability than it'll be to the United States. The United States could stand back and say, we're going to ignore it. We can't ignore it, because we are concerned about our friends and allies and our interests around the world, and because we are the leader of the world that wants to be free.
When you talk about the consultation with Arab states, with our friends in Europe, with the G8, no question there's been consultation, but from what we're hearing from them and from their representatives, the consultation has tended to involve disagreement on their part, frustration on their part, a sense that the United States should not do this, should not move militarily against Iraq. Any reason to believe that they're going to change their minds on that?
Well, we'll see what their minds are when the President finally puts in front of them something that might suggest military action. So far, he is not. He is interested in their perspective. He has listened carefully to them. He has made it clear to all of our friends and allies, and to those who are not friends and allies of us, that he believes regime change is the right way to go. When we talk to our friends, that's being multilateral. It doesn't necessarily mean we will get them all to agree with us, or that we are at the mercy of their agreement and their consensus. Sometimes we have strong disagreements. The International Criminal Court is one, where we believe we have a principled position. It is an isolated position. Most of the rest of the world believes that the International Criminal Court is no threat to any U.S. Service person or U.S. political official. We have a different point of view. And when we send our young volunteers around the world in numbers that no other nation sends its young people around the world. We have worldwide responsibilities. We're glad to meet those responsibilities, but we want those young men and women to be subject to the constitutional processes of the United States government and our Constitution, and that's why their parents entrusted them to our care. And so it is a real issue for us, and we tried to find a solution within the UN over the last couple of weeks. We found a temporary bridge for a year or so, and we'll be working with our friends to make the case to them that we should receive some special understanding of our concerns, just as we are listening to their concerns. When you have a principled position, you should fight for it. You should try to present the case, and when they have a principled position, we should listen to them. But we shouldn't go along with the consensus just because it is the consensus if we believe it is inconsistent with our principled position.
Mr. Secretary, we're going to take a short break. Back with Secretary Powell in just a moment.
Express pickup. Wow, what a time saver, Ted. I mean, order stuff online, pick it up right away, and you're gone. Honey, you could have waited in the car. It's like we're barely even in the store. Isn't Express pickup great?
No. Save time if you want to. Express pickup. Order online, pick up right away. Or we'll ship to you. Circuit City. We're with you.
Can I leave mine? I'll get it. Oh, here they are.
Buy any new 2002 Mitsubishi and never pay interest. Plus, make no payments for an entire year. Looks like the best deal in the car business just got better. Introducing Mitsubishi's Summer Clearance, where you can get any new 2002 Mitsubishi and never pay interest. Never. Plus, you'll have no car payments for an entire year. Good on any new 2002 Mitsubishi. Never pay interest. Plus, no payments for 1 year. Hurry, because never won't last forever.
When Brian and Amy decided to sell their home, someone was there to make sure that things went smoothly. Someone was there to help them see it through a buyer's eyes. Someone was there to help price it, show it, close it. And when Brian and Amy found the house they wanted to buy, someone else helped them get through that process just as smoothly. Work with someone who worked with you. We're realtors. Real estate is our life.
Tuesday inside Houston Medical, real stories of a child released from a living nightmare and a doctor's nightmare struggle for her own life. A new Houston Medical, ABC Tuesday, 10/9 Central.
The game is just a game. It's how you play that makes it fun, or frustrating, or dangerous. It's true for tennis, and it's true for gambling. 3% of Oregonians have a gambling problem. When they play, it's more than a game, it's an obsession. If you can't stop playing and call 1-877-2-STOP-NOW or log on to OregonLotteryHelp.org. Treatment is free, confidential, and it works.
McDonald's is firing up the taste of the classic American cookout with our new All-American Burger. It's a burger that tastes just like home, with a quarter-pound all-beef patty, juicy tomato, crisp lettuce, zesty red onions, and sweet bread and butter pickles, all stacked on a sesame seed bun. So come on home to McDonald's and try our new All-American Burger. For a limited time, it's a taste that's as American as McDonald's. And now's the time for sports watches that do it all. 2 cool designs, each just $4.99 with any sandwich purchase.
And we're back once again at the State Department with Secretary of State Colin Powell. You're heading up to New York tomorrow to meet with the Russians, the Europeans, the UN, some of our Arab friends. Do you have a policy toward, or a Middle Eastern policy that is somewhat more concretely formed than anything we've seen over the past few months?
I think the President put down a rather concrete policy on the 24th of June in that very, very important speech where he laid out a vision for 2 states living side by side in peace. Many people focused on the first part of his speech where he said it is difficult to work with Chairman Arafat any longer because he hasn't produced.
Although he didn't mention Chairman Arafat by name.
He didn't mention him by name, but I don't think the implication was lost. But in the back part of the speech, he really talked about a Palestinian state, the end of Israeli occupation, the end of Israeli settlement activity, the return of revenues to the Palestinian leadership for the benefit of the Palestinian people, their money being returned. And he spoke of achieving this in a relatively short period of time, 3 years. And he said he put himself and his government to the task of achieving that goal.
You reportedly have a memo on your desk, may not be there anymore, but one which suggested, in effect, that Arafat be kicked upstairs to a sort of presidency and that there be a prime minister of the Palestinians. Is that something, first of all, that you support? And is it something that you think is workable in the near future?
I think it's up to the Palestinian people to ultimately decide what role Chairman Arafat should play, if any. But we have made it clear, and I have made it clear to my interlocutors, both in the Arab world and within the European community and in the UN, that I think we would all be well served, and this process would be well served, if we had new leaders identified to us by the Palestinian people who would come with authority and responsibility to act.
But is that formula of kicking Arafat upstairs something you would support?
I do not have a paper on my desk that's as precise as that particular formulation.
But if someone were to propose that to you,
it is not for me to determine where Chairman Arafat will end up.
No, but it's not
clear.
For you. Forgive me, Mr. Secretary. It's not for you or the President of the United States to select the Palestinian leadership either, which is a point you've conceded. But in effect, you've done that nevertheless. So in that context, I'm asking, would that formula work for you if you were kicked?
It is a formula I'd be more than willing to consider. I'm more interested in seeing whether or not a person emerges who is able to operate with authority and able to put in place systems that work, able to put in place security, and a security apparatus that works, that will show transparency with respect to the use of money made available to the Palestinian community and the Palestinian leadership, and will be able to do things that the current leadership has not been able to do.
A few months ago, the President warned the Israeli Prime Minister that he had to get his troops out of the West Bank. He was talking about it in terms of the very short term. One had the sense at that moment that he was talking about days or weeks. It's been months. The troops are still there. There is a danger, as you well know, that when you issue a warning like that and it's ignored, the next time you give a warning, no one's going to pay any attention either. Why has the President not followed up?
There was an intervening series of events. The President did say that on the 4th of April, and it took some weeks, longer than we would have liked. But the troops did come back from their total occupation of those Palestinians that they went in, the Palestinian cities that they were occupying. We also got Mr. Arafat released from his confinement in the Muqata in Ramallah, and we broke the siege at the Church of the Nativity. And we had a process moving forward again. But what happened? Suicide bombers came out again. Suicide bombers every single day for almost a week. Settlers being killed in their homes. And Prime Minister Sharon, seeing that, sent troops back in. It's a different kind of presence that they have there now. It's not quite the occupation that we saw in April, but they are back in those same cities. Sooner or later, that occupation has to come to an end.
You will no doubt be asked again when you meet with the Jordanian foreign minister and with the Egyptian foreign minister, if and when you are going to pressure the Israelis to do anything. At the moment, it does seem as though U.S. policy toward the Middle East is focused entirely on pressuring the Palestinians with very little visible pressure on the Israelis, for example, on the issue of the settlements.
We will press the Israelis on the issue of the settlements, on occupation, on return of revenue. We know what has to be done. The Israelis know what will be expected of them. But it is difficult, exceptionally difficult, to move down this road when every time you start down this road, you see 10, 20, 25 innocent people blown up in a shopping center, blown up on a bus. We can't overstate the inherent difficulty caused by these sorts of terrorist activities. Now, on the other side, they would say, is not the occupation part of the problem? All of these problems are intertwined, and it's going to take a long time to separate this all out and get us on a track toward peace. But it must begin with the end of terrorism.
Mr. Secretary, I thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Ted.
I'll be back in a moment with a word about tonight's Up Close.
Honey, I think I broke the washing machine.
Huh.
How'd you do that?
Sledgehammer.
Time for a new appliance? At the Home Depot, you'll get great brands at great prices, and right now, you'll also get free delivery on any appliance purchase of $3.99 or more. Charge it on your Home Depot card and pay nothing till July 2003. It's going on now, only at the Home Depot and Expo Design Center.
Buy any new 2002 Mitsubishi and never pay interest. Plus, make no payments for an entire year. Looks like the best deal in the car business just got better. Introducing Mitsubishi's Summer Clearance, where you can get any new 2002 Mitsubishi and never pay interest. Never. Plus, you'll have no car payments for an entire year. Good on any new 2002 Mitsubishi. Never pay interest. Plus, no payments for 1 year. Hurry, because never won't last forever.
The Fred Meyer Challenge tees off August 4th at the Reserve Golf Club in Aloha. Join host Peter Jacobson and some of the hottest pros on the tour, like David Toms, David Duval, and Matt Kuchar. Arnold Palmer's coming back, so's Jack Nicklaus. It starts Sunday the 4th with the Regions Pro-Am and celebrities like Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Sorbo, and Thomas Gibson. Come between 7 and 9 a.m. Sunday and get in free and have breakfast on us. All at this year's Fred Meyer Challenge.
Hello? Hey. So she took some wild vines and went out. Wild vines? Must be girls' night. I wonder what they talk about every week.
I want details.
I don't know. What if they're talking about us?
Always refreshing. Wild Vine Strawberry White Zinfandel. Wild about our friends, wild about our wines. The official wine of Girls' Night Out. Wild Vines.
Every morning, millions of us just have coffee because we don't have time for a decent breakfast. Well, now Yoplai's got something new that'll change that. It's called Nourish, a delicious non-fat yogurt smoothie that's got the protein, vitamins, and minerals you want. With Nourish for breakfast, we'll all be off to a good start. After you. No time for a meal? Nourish yourself.
Tonight on Up Close, which follows this broadcast on most of our ABC stations, first came the slide into drug addiction, then the scheme to support his habit, and finally, a trip to the federal penitentiary. An extraordinary first-person account from a former colleague of ours who talks with the people who witnessed his fall. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. I'll see you shortly, I hope, on Up Close.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now traveling to all 50 states in 50 weeks in search of America.
Tiger Woods journeys to the rugged shores of Scotland on his quest to capture golf's first Grand Slam. He must face a field of skilled adversaries and the rare challenge from an unfamiliar opponent, the links of mystical Muirfield. Tiger Woods, the British Open. ABC's coverage begins Thursday night with highlights and continues with live weekend action.
Car number 4, Power of Power, starting line.
Car stereo experts at Car Toys. Always ahead of the pack with the latest and coolest technology, expert installation, and smart advice. So you make the right choice. Hey, we live this stuff. Car Toys.